A second consecutive American League West title, team high 103 wins. The Astros got to be feeling really good going into the postseason. And when you join us, Richard Oliver, we're always feeling good.
Hey, you know, we've been saying ready to repeat all year.
All year long.
And here we go. The Astros start on Friday against the Cleveland Indians. And you know, you're right. It seemed like I've been grumpy about the Astros, like in July and August and September and everything like that. You turn around, 103 wins,
103
an all-time
wins.
Franchise high. It's crazy.
Talk about momentum going into the postseason. They'll face the Cleveland Indians. That start time just got announced, 1:05 first pitch. Let's talk a little bit about this matchup. They faced the Indians earlier in the season, took 4 of 7. Yep. Anything that we can take away from those games going into this postseason?
Well, if you remember, one of the things that was pretty interesting when the Indians and Astros played earlier in the year was it was just right after Trevor Bauer kind of made this passive-aggressive swipe at the Astros about their pitchers, about something about the grips and using pine tar. You know, just didn't say it was the Astros, but kind of said it was the Astros, that kind of thing. And the Astros played pretty well in that series, you know, after being prodded a little bit and kind of goaded. So I think the only thing you could take from that is that the Astros and the Indians match up really well. I mean, the Astros win 4 out of 7, but they were tight games, and we got a little bit of a hint at how good that pitching was going to be all year, and that's the way it played out.
Speaking of pitching, the Astros just announced their postseason rotation. Justin Verlander with the start on Friday, and then we have Garrett Cole, Dallas Keuchel, as well as Charlie Morton. Talk about this rotation. How dominant can this rotation be against the Indians?
I think it's going to be an outstanding series pitching-wise. I mean, the Indians actually have the second best rotation acknowledged in baseball. So here you have the 2 best rotations of baseball going after each other in a playoff-type setting. I would almost rather, this sounds backward, I'd almost rather the Astros were on the road because they played so well on the road. They feed off of enemy crowds. That's been something that's been such a storyline to this season. And especially against great pitching, they played very well on the road. But they're playing at home, so, you know. But Justin Verlander against Corey Kluber, who has a very good shot at being in the Cy Young race. Both of them will be in the discussion. Probably won't win, but both of them will. That's going to be a spectacular matchup, and I think will kind of set the tone for the rest of the series. If Verlander pitches as well as he's pitched in September, wow. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. Let's switch over to the other side offensively. What are the keys for the Astros in this series against the Cleveland Indians?
I think it's Carlos Correa, number 1. They've got to get Carlos Correa hitting again. And you know what? It looked good the last 2 or 3 games that he played. I like the fact that Correa hit a home run, had a double, a big double, game-winning double in the second to last game of the season, and then A.J. Hinch sat him out. So that's the memory I want him to have. That's the swing thoughts I want him to have going into the postseason. And then, of course, Alex Bregman. You know, last year, Alex Bregman, this is a guy that just feeds off of these situations. He thinks he's the best player in baseball. He honestly feels this way. And what was interesting, you and I were talking off camera, last year, he was, you know, such an outstanding player in the postseason. Our memory of him is that he was outstanding. He didn't really hit all that well, but every single hit he had was absolutely epic, you know, and they need that player again in the postseason. I think those 2 guys are going to be the key to this thing.
I completely agree with you on that. What are some of the other big decisions the Astros need to make in terms of this postseason roster?
Well, what's interesting is the DH position is really kind of interesting. You know, Evan Gattis hit a little bit better late September. Tyler White, who'd been so good all year, has not hit very well. Those 2 guys will probably share the DH role heading into the postseason, depending on matchups. I think Gattis will get most of the swings, but that's an interesting one because that's one of those positions where, you know, you really count on offense there. You know, you're not sitting around looking good on the bench for nothing. You got to come up and hit, you know, and I think that's going to be something to really keep an eye on if the Astros DH position can produce during the postseason.
We'll have to wait and see. Richard, thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure.
Ancira Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram trucks, #1 in San Antonio. Huge selection and always unbeatable prices. You're watching Sports Tonight, San Antonio's only nightly 30-minute sportscast with exclusive sports coverage you won't find anywhere else.